A good nerve Shabbos Kodesh. I am Laser Weiss, the Shar Bitachon YouTube guy. It's our Shabbos, so this video is going to be a little bit shorter. Yesterday, we started discussing that Bitachon is the key ingredient of being an Oved Hashem. We spend a lot of our life dedicated to being an Oved Hashem. In fact, it's supposed to be the primary focus of our lives. Right? Going to shul, and when we make money, we think about how to earmark some of it for tzedakah, right? Yamim Tovim. So much of our life is focused around being an Oved Hashem. The Chovos HaLevavos in Shar Bitachon says that the key ingredient to being an Oved Hashem is actually, right? Mashu tzarich yoyser mikol hadvarim le'oved Elokim Yisbarach is Bitachon. So a person who spends a lot of their life trying to be the best Oved Hashem they could be, but does not work on this midda of Bitachon, trusting and relying on Hashem, will actually not succeed at being the best Oved Hashem he could be. You just won't. You can't. Right? And so a person who says, like, musar, shmusar, midos, shmidos, like, I'm going to do mitzvos with kavana and this and that, I'm going to be the best Oved Hashem I can be, leave me alone with all this musar stuff. Well, you have a machlokas. It's you are in a machlokas with Chovos HaLevavos. Because Chovos HaLevavos says if you don't work on the midda Bitachon, you will not be the best Oved Hashem you could be. Or even any kind of really good Oved Hashem. You won't, says the Chovos HaLevavos. And you say, yes, I will. So it's a machlokas between you and the Chovos HaLevavos. I'm going to go with the Chovos HaLevavos. That's what I'm saying. He's got my back. Right? So, and we also saw that the Orchos Tzadikim says that Simcha, the midda of Simcha, right, which we're going to discuss in a moment, is connected to Bitachon. If you want to have Simcha, tzarich Bitachon gadol be'elokim. Now, this is a very unique relationship between two middos. For example, let's say I say a lot of Lashon Hara. That doesn't necessarily mean that I have Sinas Chinam, but the two sort of flow into each other, right? Let's say I love doing chesed. Doesn't necessarily mean that I'm an Ohev Yisrael, but the two sort of flow into each other. Because a human being is an organism, so all things are organically connected and they flow into one another, right? But working on my midda of chesed doesn't always, it's not directly connected to the idea of being an Ohev Yisrael. That is not the case with Bitachon and Simcha. If I work on my Bitachon, my Simcha is increasing. If I'm working on acquiring the midda of Simcha, right, like doing what the Orchos Tzadikim says, my Bitachon is increasing. Those two middos go up and down on the same scale. Why? Why is there this symbiotic relationship between these two middos specifically? What is the uniqueness about them? Right? To understand this, we have to understand what Simcha really is, and that's really just what I want to focus on, and then we're going to call it quits and say good Shabbos. What Simcha is not is the affect of jollity, right? They have the jolly guy. He's always the guy who with the smile on his face who says the jokes. That's a facade. That's not true Simcha. It's certainly nice to, it's certainly a nice midda to have, right? Beishamai Eimer, having Mekabel Kol Adam, a sefer upon him yafais. Certainly a wonderful thing to always have a smile on your face and greet people properly. But that is not, the affect is not Simcha, right? To illustrate it and put a fine point, Simcha also, by the way, is not, obviously, goes without saying, it's not having material wealth and having acquisitions. That doesn't bring a person any closer to Simcha. But to just sort of illustrate it, I was at the house of someone who had over a friend of his I didn't know. And this person, I can only describe him as a sourpuss. The guy was an older gentleman who was supporting children of his that were married and their families in Kolel in Lakewood. The guy was a wealthy balbos. He had it all, sort of, so to speak. He had kids and learning. I don't know. He was sarcastic. He was cynical. It wasn't geschmack to be around him. It was a very long Shabbos meal, very geschmack and long Shabbos meal. And this guy just sort of was like an irritating part of it. He always had a cynical remark or sarcastic. I asked my host at one point. I'm like, privately, I said, "Is he always like this?" I shouldn't have asked that. I'm not going to lie, but this is the story. It's the true story. Sorry. And my host said to me, it's funny. He's not. He is when you get him alone, and you sort of see, him without the mask on, like that. He said, but it's funny because if you ask people who just know him in the community, he's actually like Mr. Simcha. If you go to a wedding, he's always like the guy he's always has a joke. He's quick-witted. He loves to dance in the middle. But I said, oh, so is this which one is the real one? He says, well, I happen to be very close with him, and his wife will tell you this is the real him, the sourpuss. So it's kind of weird, right? That means that you see him and you see I'm the Simcha machine and I'll sing you a ditty. That's not Simcha. That's not Simcha. That's a facade. That's an affect. So what is real Simcha? Real Simcha is an extremely personal midda. It's not something that has anything to do with other people. Simcha, we sort of said this yesterday, but again, today I want to explore it a little bit because it's going to be a major thing in understanding Bitachon, what it is and how it works and how it's going to work for you. Simcha is the very individual personal feeling that I have satisfied all my needs and I do not sense that anything is lacking, that I am not lacking in anything. I am fulfilled in the totality of me. I am completely in a state of fulfillment without any negativity or any sense of lack. That is not an easy midda to acquire. The primary reason that's not an easy thing to acquire is because we don't live in the world all alone. There are other people, and they have things that we don't, both in the physical or individual, sense. They might be stronger, they might be smarter, they might be faster. And in the material sense, they have more. They have things we don't have. They have things we imagine if we had them, we would feel better about ourselves or feel happier. And therefore, we sense a lack. If there was nothing to compare anything to, we would never feel that. Again, as long as our needs were satisfied. Right? Of course, if a person is actually hungry, so there's pain inside him, that's a real thing. He's experiencing pain. Right? But if a person is satisfied, and even in pain, there is, this is already, we're talking about levels of tzidkus that are maybe beyond normal people. But even in pain, there is a possibility to feel completely satisfied and not feel any negativity. But that's not normal. That's I don't mean chas v'shalom in a negative way. That's just not that's not a regular way. That's superhuman. So in the normal realm, though, if your basic needs are satisfied and you don't feel anything is lacking, that's simcha. Pirkei Avos spells this out. It says, Ezu chacham halomid mikol adam. We can understand how being able to learn from every single person is an aspect of wisdom. It's not always simple to find something that you can learn from every person you run across. So if somebody could do that, it's chacham. Ezu gibar kavish yitzray. Right? It's not always easy to conquer the Yetzer Hara. A person can do that. He's strong. And it says, Ezu ashir hasameach b'chalkai. Who is rich? Somebody who is satisfied with what he has. How's that wealth? How does that translate to being rich? I'm not rich. I'm just happy with what I have. Those are different things. So, Baruch Hashem, I've had the opportunity to meet many Rabbanim, and I've asked this to many of them. And the answer, I think, that really resonated with me, really fits into this theme that we're saying, which is, Ashirus is actually not a real thing. There is no such thing as wealth. Wealth is dependent upon what is around you. It doesn't actually exist. There's no status called being wealthy, right? Because if you go to an island where civilization hasn't yet been discovered, and to the people of the island, whoever has the most coconut trees on their property is considered the wealthiest, right? And you have the guy in the center of town. He has the biggest property with the most coconut trees. He's living in a hut. All they have is basic bread, water, and coconuts. This guy feels on top of the world. He feels like the king of the world. And he loves it. Everyone in the village, when they see him, they're like, "Oh, wow, look at this guy. Oh, hush of a guy." So he knows that he's the most important guy in town, right? And then we introduce him to civilization, and people realize coconuts aren't really worth a lot. There are people who have yachts, right? Do you think Mr. Coconut now feels like, I'm the richest guy, I'm worthy and deserving of respect? What about his neighbors? Yesterday, his neighbors thought that this guy was worthy of respect. They would walk out their house, they would see him, they were like, "Oh, listen, there he is. The guy who has the most coconuts." Right now, they think to themselves, "Oh, what a loser. This guy has coconuts, other people have yachts." What happened? What changed is that what was a little lacking became different. In other words, all the people around Mr. Coconut, they sense that they don't have coconuts, and he has them. Therefore, he's rich. I am not rich because I lack coconuts. He has them. Wealth is actually a term that relates to what you lack, not to what you have. Which is why you can be very, very rich, and this is something we see all the time in the world. So it should sort of resonate with us. You can be very wealthy and yet feel that you are actually poor. So you can be a millionaire who will say something like, "Man, compared to Bill Gates, I'm nothing." What does that mean? Who cares? People would kill to live in your $4.5 million mansion. Yeah, but compared to Bill Gates, dude, right? So the answer is that he sees himself in relation to what he is lacking. And that is a baseline human idea. We see ourselves in relation to what we are lacking. So Ezehu Ashir, What does it mean to be wealthy? Hasameach b'chalko. If you see yourself as not lacking anything, then there is no reality in which wealth figures. What does that mean to be wealthy? What does that mean? Well, have more, but there's nothing more to have. I'm not lacking anything. So what do you mean have more? Have more what? I don't know what you're talking about. Well, you could have another car. So I don't want another car. I don't need it. Now, again, if you don't have what you need, if you're lacking in basic needs in a way that you're going to experience negativity in a concrete and objective way, right, in a real physical world way, then you have to be like a tzaddik to be able to sort of take that and say, I'm still not lacking. But we're talking about a person who's not lacking. He has a nice car. Somebody says, you don't have a Rolls Royce. Wouldn't you rather be driving a Rolls Royce? I imagine a person who was like, no, I don't see the difference. My car is reliable. It's excellent. No, I don't know why. Why would a Rolls Royce be better? Well, it's more comfortable. Yeah, but I don't need more comfort. We're not like that as human beings. So therefore, we are not usher. But if I didn't feel that I was lacking in any way, then there would be no concept, legabe me, called ashiros. That is true simcha. True simcha is I have no lack in any way. The Alshich really puts this in a beautiful way. The Alshich says that the pshat and the bracha of sameach tesamach re'em ahuvim kesamich yitzircha began eden mikadam, that is actually describing this midda. What was so great? Sameach tesamach, rejoice and rejoice. Right? Double lashon in Hebrew always means sort of like extra, extra. Sameach tesamach, you should be extra, extra. Sameach, right? Re'em ahuvim, you loving intimates, right? The chassan and kala. Kesamechacha yitzircha, like the Creator made happy or satisfied or whatever, however you try. I don't know how to, again, I can't translate it now because it's a concept. It's not a word, right? Kisamech yitzercha, like the simcha that was granted by the Creator, began eden mikadam, originally in Gan Eden. Says the Alshich, what was so great about the original Gan Eden couple, that was Adam and Chava we're referring to? The answer is that there was no one else. That's what the Alshich says. Now, on a shallow level, you're like, oh, very cute, like nice vart. No, but on a deeper level, you should wait a second. The Alshich is one of the greatest thinkers in Jewish history, like among the ranks of our greatest, Talmidei Chachamim who ever lived. So, what is he talking about? The simcha that they had. We're talking about the best simcha, the best type of possible marriage that you could have. Is because there was no one else there. That's what it was. So Alshich, yes, because Adam had no one to compare Chava to. In Adam's mind, this is a woman. That's it. The only thing that a woman is this. And if I don't have her, then I don't have. So therefore, any negative aspect of Chava was just an accepted reality. And the truth is, if we bring this home to ourselves, we understand that this is true of ourselves. The reason we don't relate this to our spouse, because unfortunately, we don't see our spouse as being ourself. Rav Victor Miller actually talks about this quite a lot if you listen to his shiurim about marriage, that we should see our spouse as us. And if we did, we would actually be much more accepting of the negative aspects that they have. Why? Because if a person has healthy self-esteem, he's aware of his own deficiencies, right? We are all human. We are not perfect. The Vilna Gaon, the Chafetz Chaim, Chassam Sofer, they all had deficiencies. It's part of being human. Now, their deficiencies, of course, were microscopic compared to ours, but they had deficiencies. Did they suffer? Did their self-esteem suffer because of those deficiencies? No, because a healthy human being understands that the deficiencies that I have are part of me. That's who I am, and I accept that. And because my self-esteem is healthy, therefore I move past it. I say, okay, I am a total human being, and those deficiencies that I have are just a reality, and that's okay. And I'm going to work with the materials that I was given, with the faculties that I have, to be the best me that I could be. That's my mission in life. It is not my mission in life to be as good in learning as the smartest person who ever lived. It is my mission in life to be as good in learning as I can be. My acceptance of that means that I don't feel a lack because he's smarter than me. Because my mission is not to achieve what he could achieve. It's to achieve what I can achieve. Imagine if we saw our spouse that way. This is me. It is not my mission in life to have a better marriage with a better person. There is no better person. And there is no better. Now, again, just not every situation. We're talking about healthy people. But in reality, most of us aren't holding there. So we have a fight with our spouse. our brain automatically goes to like, I bet X doesn't have to deal with this with his wife. What does that mean? Who cares? It's not. So again, the point is not to get into a discussion about marriage. The point is, what is Simcha? Simcha is this sense that there's nothing lacking, because this is what it is. Imagine if you felt that way about your material possessions. Someone else has a beautiful Rolls Royce. You have a Camry. Imagine if your attitude towards that was, that's me. That's who I am. I am person with a Camry. That's it. Well, why don't I have a Rolls Royce? It's just not who I am. It's just not reality. That's not the reality of my existence. I am not person who owns Rolls Royce. Should I feel bad about that? There's nothing I could do about it. So the answer is you don't believe that. You think to yourself, no, I could have the Rolls Royce. I could have the Rolls Royce if I just worked harder, made different decisions, had a different lot in life. So you're lacking. So all of a sudden you're not rich. There we go. I feel like I feel like I went too long, even longer than I originally wanted to go, but I really need to stress this point. This is crucial. Because bitachon is the acknowledgement that I am completely reliant on and trusting in Hashem in an individual and unique way. And already, if you're paying attention, you should sort of immediately see, like, oh wait, there's a connection between bitachon and simcha. Because bitachon means that I acknowledge that Hashem, what you're doing specifically for me, to me, about me, is only for me, to me, and about me. That you custom designed my existence, my reality, my situation for me, to me, and about me. And that I have no control over it except in the way that I can ask you to change it or interact with you, but not with the rest of the world. So if I don't have a Rolls Royce, the Baal Bitachon's attitude is Hashem's custom designed life program for me, Laser Weiss, is that I do not possess a Rolls Royce. That is the specific custom designed, custom made reality for me. If I truly believed that and accepted that, then I wouldn't feel that I was lacking. I would never feel that I was lacking. I was like, again, let's say I had a car that wasn't even that comfortable. I have an old car. It's reliable. Again, I don't want to go to unreliable. I don't want to go to, because that's lacking. That already requires higher madrigos. But let's say I have a car and it's not even comfortable. The seats are worn. It's not geschmack. Paint is bleh. It's got dents. But it's reliable. It's reliable. But I look at my friends who all have like normal cars that are nice, that are comfortable to sit in. Right? So I feel like, I wish I had that. What if I was focused on the idea that, no, Hashem, if I'm making the right life choices, right? And what are the right life choices? In Avodas Hashem. I am trying my best to be the best Oved Hashem I can be. And somehow I wound up here where I have this vehicle. Well, then that's it. This is the specific life that Hashem, creator of the universe, designated for me specifically. So I'm not lacking anything. Because someone else who has a nicer car has no shaykhs to my reality. Hashem designed his reality for him. He's meant to achieve different things with different things. He has different goals, and he needs different tools to achieve those different goals. He doesn't have my goals, and therefore he doesn't have my tools. I have specific goals, and I have specific tools. I am not lacking, because that's not the way Hashem runs the world. Hashem runs the world that I have exactly what I am supposed to have and need. Imagine if you felt that. You know what you would feel if you felt that? Simcha. Overwhelming, gushing, mind-blowing well springs of simcha would just flow forth from your being. You would have a total sense of completion, of satisfaction. Somebody would say to you like, your house, look at this, the siding on your house coming out. Don't you feel bad? Feel bad? Why? Do I feel bad that my hand is this big instead of being a little smaller? No, that's just me. What's to feel bad about? It's great. My house is like this. That's awesome. That's so wonderful that my house is like this. This is great. That's what Hashem is. This is what he did for me. All of a sudden, we begin to see that Simcha and Bitachon are connected. That's the secret that the Aruch HaTzadikim is telling you, by the way. Do you know why the midda of Simcha is totally in the mitzvah d'oraisa of ki kasher yaser Ish es benoi Hashem lekecha miasreka. Do you know why it's totally in that? Because as children, we don't understand why dad treats Mark differently than Joe. If we're healthy adults, hopefully, and our parents were truly good parents and doing the right thing, one day we'll realize, like, oh, it was really good thing dad treated me differently. I needed different things. I grew up healthy and normal because dad treated me this way and not that way. And would it not have been good if dad had treated me that way? Well, hopefully, again, as human beings, it's so hard for us to have this perspective. But hopefully, if we have that proper perspective, then we'll apply that to Hashem. It's a good thing Hashem doesn't give me what he gives Yoshua, what he gives Shmuel, what he gives Aaron. Because I'm not Yoshua, I'm not Shmuel, I'm not Aaron. And if Hashem gave me those things, that would be really awful for me. Thank God that he treats me. That's Simcha. That's real Simcha. That sense that what he's doing for you is the perfect thing for you. And it's also Bitachon. That's also total Bitachon. And so the two things are symbiotic. And now I think we can really start to get into Shar Bitachon. Have a great Shabbos.